Here's a film with an ample amount of prospect and promise, one that takes off with excellent intensity running along the track until about halfway through its adventure when it comes to a hurdle. Now, rather than carry on its performance and leap over that hurdle with finesse to a glorious and praiseworthy finish, it fucks everything up and smashes into it like a great big twat. It didn't even try to jump the hurdle, really. It just clumsily flailed towards it, and the spectacle of this failure becomes so drastically awful that as it lies there with its legs broken in several places, blood pouring out of its nose from where it fell face first onto the concrete, and its quiet whimpers mumbling into the dirty ground, you can't help but look on and remember none of the goodwill you had for its attempt at something great before this tumbling mess, because your only takeaway is how spectacularly terrible it was when it fell. This movie for me was utterly disappointing, not because it couldn't deliver on its engaging promise of an extreme session of blind man's buff, but rather because it did manage to deliver exactly that, and then throw it out of the window. I can't remember the last time my opinion of a movie 180'd this much during a film. The first half is excellent, it's exactly what was advertised, pulled off exceedingly well. You get this really great thriller horror premise where three desperate teens do burglaries to make ends meet. The teens are admittedly completely cardboard cutouts. You've got the protagonist good girl who gives you at least some reason to root for the home invaders by only being involved in this whole thing to raise enough money to get her younger sister far away from the greasy trailer trash hell they have at home. You also have the lame duck dorky one who is only doing this because he blatantly wants to get with the main girl, and then the cockwomble who is almost definitely going to die first because he's a sodding white guy with cornrows called money. If he doesn't get brutally murdered, then we'd all want a refund. That said, the generic qualities don't stop you from being invested when they decide to rob a blind guy and shit hits the proverbial fan as he turns out to be a complete fucking ninja who proves to be easily capable of murdering them all. The only thing he needs is to hear them. Cue a good portion of superb Monster in the House style nail-biting tension as the young would-be burglars find themselves trapped in an unfamiliar setting with a fellow who could probably tear their heads off who they need to escape from. Quietly. Done. I'm sold. You got me, movie. This is great. Brilliant stuff. You don't need any more. Just stay right there and rock this shit. Wait, where are you? No, don't go there. No, movie. Fuck. And so it's around about the halfway point we get the twist. And the whole thing turns to shit. I can only imagine that this is what it feels like to have a really bad ex. You know, everything's going great, you're really happy with how things are chugging along, and then suddenly you find out they pay a homeless man to wank into your socks while you're sleeping. It's a revelation you neither expected nor wanted. Now, I really want to talk about why this is so bad, but to do that, I'm obviously going to have to venture into spoilers. So if you want to be done with the review here, just know that I don't recommend it, unless you only want to watch the first 40 minutes or so. And if you want more of an explanation as to why that is, then stick around for spoilers in 3, 2, 1. 2 words. Spunk Dungeon. What a fucking terrible decision this was. You had me. And then you went and introduced a fucking sperm seller. I've never watched a single film in any genre ever and thought, hey, you know what this needs? A jizz basement. Where do I even begin? I mean, Jesus. Okay, so even when we remove all the semen from the equation, the reveal that the blind man is anything but just a proper hard blind man is batshit to me. Now, you may disagree, and that's fine, but let me just explain why I think that. There's a really great book called Save the Cat that suggests a rule in screenwriting to stick by is avoid double mumbo jumbo. Now, what this means is that the audience will suspend their disbelief on anything, like literally anything, but only once. Cars transforming into robots is ridiculous, but I'll buy it if that's the premise, so long as you don't ask me to believe anything on top of that. I won't call your film ridiculous. At least, not for that reason. As Blake Snyder puts it in the book, we'll get on board with an alien invasion movie, we'll get on board with vampires. But you can't have aliens come down, then get bitten by vampires, and then be aliens that are also undead. That's double mumbo jumbo. Now, this rule doesn't always apply, especially with the superhero genre playing a big role in modern cinema, but in a grounded tale like this, I think it does. So when the blind man suddenly turns out to be a super adept warrior dude despite not being able to see, that's Mumbo Jumbo 1, and I'm on board with it. Then when the film suddenly goes, but also, he's a weird Fritzl-style kidnapper who keeps an impregnation station under his house. And you've lost us. I can get on board with a movie about accidentally robbing Daredevil. I can understand a movie about a creepy kidnapper who impregnates women in a secret basement to try and replace the daughter he lost. Not both. This isn't even to get into how cringy the actual big moment to the twist is, where the blind man approaches our forcibly exposed protagonist with a turkey baster dripping in slow motion with his own freshly defrosted man juices. I mean, man. This isn't scary, it's just gross, uncomfortable and silly. You literally have an image where dramatic music plays as a blob of jizz drops to the floor. It's like they had no confidence in their own work, so they felt the need to do something shocking, to have some sort of money shot moment everyone could say you needed to see. Like, oh my god, it's so twisted. But it's just fucking dumb, man. And sure, you can argue it's gross to make you like really uncomfortable, but if the movie randomly cut to the blind man taking a dump on the floor with the same slow motion detail, that too would be gross and uncomfortable. Doesn't mean it's good. I'm not even sure how this whole thing works. I mean, I'm no sperm expert. I'm not your mother. Way! That joke was sexist and trite and you should be ashamed if you laughed. But I'm pretty sure there's a fairly complicated process hospitals use for artificial insemination. I don't really think you can just crack one out in your home freezer into a bowl by your ice pops and call it a day. I might be wrong on that one, but watching a blind man boil his own spermsicles in a frying pan does make you question the science of it all, you know. Ultimately, the movie never recovers from this point after losing all attention and crawling its way past multiple false finishes until the credits roll and you leave thinking, what just happened? It also commits the ultimate horror movie sin of not really being about anything. There's a trend in horror to just show something creepy and call it a job well done, but good stories are ones that are about something, you know? Like, The Babadook and Lights Out are about mental health. It Follows is about the fears and anxieties surrounding sexual discovery. The Thing is about paranoia. Your Next, Scream, and Cabin in the Woods are about genre convention. I can go on forever with this, but you get my point. I didn't know what Don't Breathe was about, really. It had promise of a worthwhile discussion at the start with its moral ambiguity, but that went out the window when the blind man is revealed to be straight up evil. At that point, it's like, what are you trying to say? Don't trust blind dudes? I mean, yeah, I can see that. That's why they really wear those shades, you know. It hates their shifty eyes. Hopefully the next films in the Fear the Disabled trilogy improve on this formula and really explore some new big ideas. Apparently the next one features a dude who has crutches with secret knives. And rumour has it the third film's villain is just Stephen Hawking with a bad temper and a gun.